This video demonstration is going to walk you through pseudocode, logic of a program, the processes you'll go through when you're thinking about coding out a program. So let's go ahead and use an example here. You are to buy a car. So you're ready to buy a car. You go online and there's tons of calculators out there, right? Like how much your monthly payment is going to be, how many months, interest rate, everything like that. So we're going to write a mini program for this. We're going to start out with the pseudocode and then we'll go into Raptor and take a look and see what that looks like in Raptor so you can test out your logic and your flow and see if it's correct in the way a program should compute. So here's the information you're given. So you're going to write a program to compute the monthly payment on a loan. You have the following data. The user will input the loan amount, the annual percentage rate, and the number of monthly payments. Then the program is going to compute and display the monthly payment based on the information they're given. So you're also given two different calculations that need to take place in the program itself, the monthly rate and the payment. So let's go ahead and take a look at the steps that we would need to make to write that. And we're going to use pseudocode just to get down the logic and the process of what would happen first, second, third, last, what outputs we need, variables we need, things like that. So let's go ahead and go take a look at the pseudocode. So first I'm going to leave some comments. One of the main things about commenting is to sort of give you a roadmap as to what sections are what, to give more information to another coder per se, and just leave that lasting information. So this one we're going to do low payment calculator. You'll want to put who the programmer is. What the version is. So for this case, we're going to be on version 1.0, but you could, this could be version 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, however many versions you have of this, if in edits and things like that. And then the date. Give a synopsis of what it is. Payment on a loan. And then let's go ahead and just list off our variables. And what I always look at is what do I need to know? So I know that I'm going to have to store the loan amount, the percentage, and number of payments. So, and then I also need a monthly rate and payment. So the variables will be payment, loan amount, interest rate, monthly rate, and number of months. Now, one thing to realize about variables is that they are case specific. So how you type them is how they need to be used throughout your entire program. So commenting is important. So we're going to declare the variables. And so now we're going to say declare payment as float. Declare loan amount as float. So I'm going to declare all of these as floats. Interest rate as float. Declare monthly rate as float. Declare number months as float. All right, so I already got my variables. This is what's going to store my information. Now I'm going to give the user some information about the program. So write this program will calculate the monthly payment on a loan given the following input. loan amount, annual interest percent, and number of payments to be made. So then what would be my next step? What would I need to know? So I have all my variables. I've told them what the program is. And now I'm going to need to get information from my user. I need to get those inputs. So I'm going to say write, enter the loan amount. And then I'm going to have an input. And I'm going to write again. So I'm going to tell them to write it as a percent because I have that calculation up there. So give your user as much information as you need so that they input the right information. No semicolon or no colon. So then I'm going to input again. So that's interest rate. And then I'm going to write again. And I'm going to input. Okay. So now that I have that, I have all the information that I need. Now I need to calculate. So calculations. For the monthly loan payment based on the data received from the user. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the information I was given. And I know that I need to set the monthly rate equals interest rate divided by 1,200. So that's the math part of this. I need to set the payment to the loan amount times the monthly rate times, and then the parenthesis, 1 plus monthly rate square root number of months, and then finish out the rest of the calculation. So you could just copy and paste the calculation you were given. Now that the calculations have happened, we're going to display the output of the monthly loan payment based on calculations. So let's go ahead and write that output. Okay, so now it will say for the loan of, and I put the $, quote, plus loan amount plus quote, and I need to do a space. It will recognize that. To be paid over space quote plus number of months, so number months, plus quote, space again, month. The monthly payment will be $ plus payment. And that's how you write the pseudocode. So we have write, we're going to set it, we have inputs, we're declaring our variables, we have our comments, We had all of our calculations. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this logic and we're going to pass it over into Raptor to test it to see if our logic and flow is correct. So we're going to use our pseudocode as the roadmap when we're working in Raptor. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to declare the variables. There's some options available to you in Raptor. If there's several variables, you might want to call a module. And I'm going to have to save this. So you can call your variables in one module, or you could list out all your variables if you want separately, right inside the main program. It keeps it a little bit cleaner if you will call your modules that way with the variables, because there's multiple variables. So now I'm going to do the assignment. And so like one of our first ones is loan amount, and I'm going to set that to 0. Payment, I'm going to set to 0. Interest rate was another, that's set to 0. Monthly rate, that's set to 0. And number of months, that's set to 0. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to double check that I have everything I need. Payment, loan amount, interest rate, monthly rate, number of months, or number month. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my main. Now you can see that I've called a variable. Now we need to do an output. I'm going to grab all of this within all the quotes. Double click. Sometimes the quotes may not come over correctly. There we go. Now we need to do our calculations. So, and get our inputs in. So I'm going to go ahead and do the input. I'm going to enter the prompt. Enter the loan amount. Link it to the variable. I need to do another input. And this one's going to be interest rate. And it's prompting it because it recognizes that I do have those variables. And then payments to be made. And this will be number months. And hit done. So I have all that now. I'm entering all the information, etc. Then I'm going to do an assignment. The assignment's going to be my calculation. So now here's where I want to set the payment. Well, let's do monthly rate first. Monthly rate. And I need to go back because here will be my monthly rate. I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste that there. So interest rate divided by 1200. Okay. Now this one, I'm going to do the assignment again. This assignment is where I'm going to put in the payment. And then lastly, I just need to put in the output. So for this one, I'm right back to doing, and this is where your pseudocode really comes in handy because you can copy and paste that in and then maybe just work with the quotes if it's not showing correctly. So loan amount. I want to do that. And don't be afraid to use these prompts to remind you of what the variables are. Okay, so there's my structure based on my pseudocode. I'm going to go ahead and run it. It's going to go into my variables module. Let's say I want a loan for $5,000. The interest rate 4%. And I want to make it in 12 monthly payments. So now it says for a loan of $5,000 to be paid over 12 months, the monthly loan payment will be $425, and it just, don't worry about the rounding, 75 cents. And notice in the sidebar, it does show you what it's storing. So it stored it, interest rate, it stored in the loan amount, it calculated the monthly rate, it stored the number of months for the payments, and it calculated it out. So it's showing you what it's storing in those variables, what it's doing in the calculation. And that is my pseudocode. I took my exact pseudocode, put it into Raptor, and ran the program so that I could look at the logic of the program itself. If you have any questions about pseudocode or beginning to put things into Raptor, please reach out to your instructor.